And Shanea Tonkin, welcome to episode 38 of the Been There, Done That podcast, mate. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to see you again. It's been a while. It's been almost a year, and a lot of great things have happened for you in that time, especially recently.
Yes. It's been an exciting time, an exciting year so far. So, yeah.
There's been congratulations as well on getting selected in the 2022 HockeyRoo squad. So well done on that, and I'm sure it's been long awaited. So I guess how long you aged out of is it the national development squad? How does that kind of work? The age group?
So National Development Squad is it can range in ages. So you've got your junior squad, which is under 21s, and then you've got your development squad, which that one just ranges ages. You can be, still in the junior squad, but be elevated to the development squad. But I've been in the development squad for 2 years now before stepping up to the senior squad.
Well, that's great. So again, congratulations, and
thank
it's
you.
been almost like an honour for me as well, because I did get to work with you for almost about a year and a half. So it's great.
Yeah, year and a half at the WAIS gym. So
right. And probably one of the coolest things that I got to see as well was I came across on your Instagram. There was a photo you put up of when you were I don't know, how old were you in that photo when you were playing hockey? Seven.
My first year of Minky, that photo was from.
Minky, what's
very
that?
Cool. Oh, it's like it was like when did it start? All the age groups have changed these days, but it was kind of like if you were under 10, you played Minky. Yeah, it was kind of the little stepping stone to under 10. So yeah, I played that with my cousins.
That's hilarious. So you were 7 when you started, and then did you? I guess how long into playing hockey did you think, oh, I'm half decent, I'll give this a crack?
Yeah, I started playing hockey through family. So a lot of my family play hockey. They're either played for state or club or played for Australia. So I got into hockey through family, and I just kind of fell in love with the game, and especially how family orientated it was. I started playing hockey with my cousins, and it was just so much fun. And then made my first state team with my cousin, who's now in the HockeyRoos with me, Caitlin Nobbs. So that was very cool. But I think, all through my juniors, it was really, I stuck with it for the love. And then I think it was about when I was 17, I made my first under 18 Australian squad. And it was probably then that I was like, wow, okay, maybe I could do this. This would be really cool. Otherwise, I was just playing because I loved the sport.
Yeah. And what position are you playing?
Striker through and through. I still to this day can't defend. Still to this day.
You're too lazy to run back, or are you just addicting to scoring the goals?
No, I've got better at the running back. It's more I bring out my axle when I tackle.
Oh, that's hilarious. So did you kind of work your way into the striker position? So I guess as a junior you would have played lots of various positions, and then was it just striker?
No, I always played striker, striker through and through. When I first played juniors, I played for a smaller club, so I always kind of played upper level from my age group. So I was always kind of the weakest in that age group. So I would play left wing, which back in the day, left wing was probably your worst player. They just put it on there. So I started playing that, and I had speed, so I could always kind of overtake my halfback, and I just loved it. I've always been a striker.
So when did you kind of when did WAIS pick you up as a development, or what do? They identify you as a athlete?
Yeah, identify. WAIS identified me about when I was 16, and I trained with them on like a training agreement. Cool. So through year 11, and through when I got identified in the Futures program, which is the under 18 Australian squad. And then when I finished high school, so I finished 2014, 2015, I officially joined WAIS.
Wow, how was that kind of? Did you feel like your step was like a big step up in how everything was taken, like professionally, training, gym, and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I actually found it quite challenging originally, just because um, going through school, your life is very structured. You wake up and you train, and then you go to school and you have this period and this period, and then you come home and you train or you do homework.
Mm.
Whereas my first year out of high school, sorry, was when I made the under 21 Gillaroos squad. And so I kind of put uni on the back hold, just to see where hockey took me. But obviously, not having the structured uni and then just having WAIS, I found it very hard to balance. And I was very much just all hockey, and work and uni and all of that just kind of went down on my list. So
So,
yeah, I found it quite challenging.
so what did you kind of do to kind of work through it? Did you utilize the support network that Waste um, uh, had available there?
Um, yeah, I would talk to coaches, and talk to the site, but don't think, I think the only time I kind of started making changes was when I missed out on the 2016 Junior World Cup team. So, and I think that's when I realized, oh, wow, I have put everything on hold and I haven't had a good balance. And maybe I need to get more balance into my life, because obviously what I was doing during that year wasn't working for me. So it was kind of until I missed out on that big junior selection that I got a bit of a wake up call and thought, all right, well, we need to change something.
Right. So how did you kind of go about that? Did you kind of take priorities out and make sure you were getting your uni and the work done, and then kind of was
Yeah,
hockey coming second? Like it's kind of hard because you want to make hockey a focus, but you don't want to kind of rank it.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not as important
There's
anymore. Or,
exactly, there's such a fine line between, I want to give it my all and put everything into hockey because I only have this certain amount of years, but then there's also, we're more than hockey players and we're more than athletes. Where you need another life. And I think that's what I found out kind of the hard way, but at a really good time. And I just went back to uni full time. What else did I do? I worked and I just saw more of my friends. And that just gave me a really good kind of balance, and an outlet from hockey. I didn't think about hockey all the time, which is what I was doing. I could never switch off, because when I wasn't at hockey, I was at home. And when you're at home, you're still thinking about it. So,
yeah.
yeah, I just kind of got a little bit more into my life. And yeah,
It's one of those things that it's like almost a theme of the podcast. So most athletes I guess I talk to, they always kind of go back to that identity factor of it's not that when they run into trouble with their sport is when they identify so much as being a hockey athlete and that's it, or a footy player and that's it, and other parts of their life kind of diminish or fall apart, but they don't
yeah,
really, it's not so much that they care about it as they don't see it happening because they're so laser focused on the sport. But if something kind of happens, they get misselection or something happens, and there's kind of a wake up call of what's kind of happening around you, and then it's about fixing up everything else in your life and kind of re-identifying or re-managing who you are as a
yeah.
person, not so much as Shanea as the hockey player.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a really important thing. We're very fortunate when we do get the opportunity to, represent your country or your state. And we do only have a certain number of years that we can do that. But you need something outside of it as well, because, if something goes wrong, or if you don't get selected, or if your career's cut short, what do you do next? I think that's the biggest thing. And so having that work life balance is, I think, is one of the most important things for me.
It's because you, like you said before, you're not as you're not really hockey players. you have to make sure you do other things as well because it's a part-time role. What did you
Yeah.
kind of go through in uni? What are you kind of studying?
I studied I was a registered nurse studying registered nurse at Curtin University.
Is that a 4 year?
And
3 years?
3.5 at Curtin. Yeah.
So obviously you got in when you were 18? Did you leave school when you were 18?
Yeah, left it. Yeah. So my first year out was when I was 18. Yeah.
So that's wild. So you played in the, was it, you were saying before you were 17 and you played in the World Cup, or did you miss the World Cup?
I missed the World Cup, but I was in the squad for the Junior World Cup, and so that was 2016. So January of 2016, was my first official junior team that I made, and that was the Junior World Cup qualification team to actually qualify. So I made that. I worked really hard over the summer and actually made that, and then unfortunately missed the team.
So were you in a high school at that stage? So when you were 12?
No, I was out of high school then. Yeah.
I say that's kind of wild because because most people or most sports, you don't really get that opportunity to represent a country at that young of an age.
No, yeah.
What does
Very
that kind
fortunate,
of feel like?
I know.
Was it an international tour or was it you're in Australia?
No, that one was just in Gold Coast against New Zealand. So New Zealand came over to Gold Coast and we played, I think, 3 games, just like a international couple games.
How'd you go in that?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I remember my first game. I was so nervous. Like every time I got the ball, I was like, oh God, get rid of it. And I remember actually it was like half time, and I just remember Trini like patted me on the shoulder and she was just like, breathe, just breathe. And I was like, oh God. But yeah, then I just kind of each game got better and better. And I think I was happy with how I played, but also just so stoked to have been given the opportunity after a long summer of hard work.
Once you put in all that work, was it a relief, almost a relief that you got selected? Like, what would you have done, or what would have happened if you didn't get selected? Do you feel like you just thrown it all away, or?
I don't know. I don't even remember back then. I think I was just more relieved. I was kind of young and at my early ages of it that I was just, I think, just glad to be given the opportunity.
And what was the next biggest thing that you did after that? After you got identified in the WAIS program, going through that, was there another kind of big moment you got selected, or anything else that happened after that was kind of huge?
Yeah, so the next couple of years we just did like under 21s. I did under 21s and all of that. But I think 2018, there was a under 23 Australian team that went to China, and I was lucky enough to be selected into that. So that was probably my next big milestone.
That's wild. China. Whereabouts in China did you go?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Shanghai. It was like a 3-hour bus ride out of China or something. It was not a nice bus ride. It was like so bumpy. I just so clearly remember because we got in quite late and we were having this bus ride and I was at the back, the very back with one of the other girls who was in the team, Ash Utri. And we were driving, we were all asleep, and then all of a sudden we just hit these massive road bumps. Yep. And I was like, oh my God. And I woke up to Ash literally like up in the air, and she just came back down and up in the air and then started like going towards the front of the bus. It was honestly, I was like, get me to this hotel.
See, China doesn't strike me as a a country that's big with hockey.
Yeah, I think because there was a tournament that the HockeyRoos were playing at that time. It stumped me. Oceania Cup. No, not Oceania Cup.
Really?
Anyway, Champions Trophy. That was it. Yeah. Champions Trophy, when that was still around. They were playing it like later that month. So they kind of did it as a little segue where we went over and versed three other countries as a little segue to Champions Trophy.
Did you feel the same kind of nerves as you did when you were younger when you played against New Zealand, or did you kind of learn to develop or learn like a pre-training or a pre-game routine that kind of settles the nerves a little bit?
Yeah, the first game, it's always so nerve-wracking, no matter how much you prepare. Or, when I warm up, I feel quite maybe relaxed, like the nerves are always there, but there's something about the first 5 minutes, you just think, oh God. But then after for those 5 minutes, you kind of settle in, and then it's just play hockey and do what you do best.
Well, I kind of skipped over it at the start, but did you play any other sports leading into hockey, or was it all hockey straight from the start?
No, it was just hockey from the start.
Wow.
Yeah, I am actually very uncoordinated, as I'm sure you remember trying to teach me gym exercises. I don't know, I'm very uncoordinated, but somehow it works with hockey. I don't know how, but so yeah,
It's
it's
kind of
just
wild,
always
yeah,
been
because you have
hockey.
to be really do have to be coordinated for hockey. Like you stop on a dime, be able to rotate and do this sort of stuff. You get
Yeah, yeah,
hand-eye coordination. So not even like tennis, no
yeah.
golf.
Nah, nothing. I know.
Okay, swing it.
I
Can't
don't
go
know
swing
how.
off at the driving range.
Oh, I do a bit, and I
No good.
use the hockey hit every time I
Sweet.
go with someone. They're like, "You can tell you're a hockey player."
Yeah, right. That's wild.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, going back to the China tournament, you played was 3 games? Was it?
Yep, 3 games. Yeah.
Score any goals?
Uh yeah, I did actually, and we would do like shootouts,
Okay.
which
Yep.
is just like a one-on-one with the goalie
Yep.
at the end of every game. And I remember there was one game where there was myself and 4 other girls who had to take them. And I think we ended up, like, usually you just roll through it and everyone just does one, and then there's kind of like a winner and a loser.
Yep.
We ended up going through it each person 3 times because
Oh
it was a
gosh.
draw. Yeah, it was so tiring. But I think I ended up getting all of those goals in the one-on-one, which was good. So it helped me,
So that's
get
so
that
that happens.
confidence.
That must happen very rarely because usually, either the goalie misses one or
Yeah,
or the shooter just screws up.
yeah.
I guess.
Usually, maybe every now and then you might go to like a second round of it, but yeah, to have 3 rounds, it doesn't happen often, not at all.
Now, is there because obviously striker they have to score goals, right? Is there a point you might go through a bad kind of form slump, not scoring goals in quotes, but
Yeah,
still playing a good game if that makes sense. Like you still do all the right things in a game, but not score goals. Does that kind of
yeah,
fill you with pressure? Like, do you feel the pressure when you don't score goals, or is it just keep
yeah.
doing all the things right?
I always, the way I play, I feel like I am more of a sister. I pass the ball for that person to shoot. But it is always nice to score the goal. It's very nice. But yeah, you definitely do, you know, you do go through periods of a slump. And when you're not red hot and you're not scoring those goals or getting those little touches, it does add a little bit of pressure because you think, well, this is what I'm meant to do, like this is my role in the position. And so sometimes you just it can lead to overthinking. You might get a ball and something you can just trap and push. You've now missed the trap and now you're having to fumble the next thing. But it's something that as time goes on, you do know how to kind of get out of your head and deal with those little extra pressures on you.
How do you kind of go about that? Do you just take time away? Like, do you write a journal, I guess, or what do you kind of do to get your mind out of the form slump?
Yeah, I guess I always, I'm really big on like reflecting. Like I'll always kind of reflect after a game or after a training session just to think what went well for me and what are things that, didn't go well and that I can work on from there. But even just if I can feel myself getting nervous or kind of in my head during the games, I'll just, take 2 big deep breaths, or I'll grip my stick that little bit harder just so it kind of brings me back in the present moment instead of thinking about, the stuff that I need to do in the future.
Right. That's definitely one of the biggest things that I guess other athletes have said before here as well. One of the ones that I had a guy in a while back, Jono. He works. He plays down East Freo where I work
Yeah.
now, and he was saying that we was at St Kilda. Him would be a couple of guys that almost have like buddies, so they would buddy up, and they would have like like a little kind of thing that they would do with each other. If they noticed either one of them would get out of their heads and focus on things that's not happening in the moment, they'll go
Yeah.
like either tap them on the shoulder, or like they'll do something that they would know to bring themselves back in the present. Because I guess
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
everything,
I love that.
especially you, someone else might see it before you realize it yourself. So if
Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
sees it earlier, they make you recognize it and then bring it back in, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. I thought it was
I love that. Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a really important thing because it's very easy to get stuck in your head, or to, what's the word, like exacerbate the situation.
yes.
Kind of think that you might miss one trap, and then to you're thinking it's so much worse than what it actually is. So just kind of talking to your teammate, like these little signs that I do when I'm kind of coming back into my shell is really important, just for them to nudge you on the shoulder and be like, hey, next one, or something like that. I really like that. I'm big on that.
Do you consider yourself, I don't know, a fiery competitor? Do you kind of take your anger out on other things, like you might slam the stick, or you might, kick the ground a little bit? No?
I definitely have white line fever. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm
That's
quite
right. It's
competitive
good.
once I step onto the field. Yeah. Yes.
Is that a striker thing, or is that just Shanea has white line fever?
I think it's just a Shanea thing. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Just very
you've had a
competitive.
few run-ins with refs, haven't you?
No, not at all. No.
Back at refs, try to keep it.
No.
No little under the breath, I think. No.
Yeah, no. Definitely do, but
Do you get carded?
It's not good. No. No, it's something that it's one of those things again, you get in your head. And I'm just really trying to work on it because, I probably do say stuff under my breath, and I've actually been caught out a couple of times and it's not good. So, so just, working on that. Yeah.
We all have.
Everyone's human.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's human, and
yeah,
you gotta. I don't think it's a bad thing. Like if it's as long as you're not abusive to the refs, but you just might say things under your breath. And did you see? I might not follow in AFL. They're real tightening up on the talking back to umpires, and if you show any signs of aggression towards an umpire, it's like an immediate 50-meter penalty.
Yeah.
Did you see that? There was one against.
I have seen that. Yeah. Even touching the umpire. Huge.
That's always
big old no.
But there was one free kick against, I think it was Christian Petrarca, maybe a week ago in one of those preseason games. And he just he gave the free kick away and he went to stand the mark and he clenched his fist like this and was like that. And the umpire gave him 50 meters. So
really?
I guess.
Oh God.
I guess from an outside point of view, the AFL taking a crack down on abuse towards an umpire, and because the fans kind of get behind it a bit more and kind of
for sure. It's really easy to get caught up in it when you're on the field and you're in that zone. It's very easy to get caught up in it, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're human as well, and they're just out here doing their thing while we're trying to do our thing. So yeah,
it's funny because just thinking about it now, once the kind of game's finished, the players kind of just kind of forget about it and leave, and the umpires forget about it and leave. But it's the supporters and all the commentators and journalists who write stuff about it in the articles, in the following weeks, that creates all this emotion and kind of gets everyone aggravated. But the players and umpires, they just kind of forget about it and go, "Oh,
exactly." You step off the field, and
in the moment was it right? It's everyone else
who
lights the fire, and then it's huge after that. An inferno.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, you step on to that field and you're just in that zone, and then you step off, and that's the end of it. That's it.
Do you limit your social media time, or do you kind of get off? Because I don't know, it might not be big of an issue for you in terms of seeing performance. You might not get your performance rated so much on social media, but do you kind of try to get away from being online too much to just stay in the real world?
Like before games or in
Or
general?
just in general, do you, I don't know, I guess that you don't really get your performance written up and stuff like that in the newspapers, but do you kind of limit, do you kind of see social media as a distraction, I guess is what I'm saying. You could limit.
Yeah, yeah, I find it a distraction, and it's something that it takes you away from being in the moment
Mm,
if you're on your phone worrying about all the other stuff. So I know, like a lot of us girls, we like limit our screen time prior to like going to play a game. Like it's from, you know, from when that meeting starts, it's all about the game, and you don't look at your phone, you don't touch it until you're back at the hotel, like after you've debriefed. Yeah.
mm. You mentioned overthinking just a little bit before. Do you kind of, do you feel like that because you're in the WAIS system, you've got WAIS coaches and you have club coaches, then you got all these other people that's critiquing performance and giving you um, things to work on. Do you feel like it gets too much? Do you feel like there's one there's there's almost so much input that it gets hard to focus on the one thing, I guess, to work on?
Yeah, I think when I first started joining the programs as just like a youngin, you definitely care a lot about what people think, and you try to do the right thing. Um, and so I remember first coming into the program and I was listening to everyone. You know, I'm listening to my WAIS coach, I'm listening to my club coach, my parents, this other person, this other dad who's come to watch. You know, and you're just kind of, there's too much going on. And as I got older, I just learned to, you know, all I'm listening to is my WAIS coach, maybe my dad, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going out there and playing. Um, but as I got like higher in the ranks, it was actually my own, like it was me that was
Wow.
kind of putting the pressure on myself and getting in my own head. It wasn't actually worrying about the other girl. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, just getting in my head.
And I know I talked about coaches and stuff before, but it's also other people. Like you might have the psych, and you might have strength coaches who might just want to, you need to have their kind of goals and for yourself to get ticked off, and that in as well. So
Yeah.
that creates a lot of pressure, I guess, around certain periods of in the season. So, do you feel like that there is, an off, it's not really so much as an off season and in season because you're playing hockey kind of regularly. You're always at WAIS training, getting ready for the season, for the club season, I guess. Do you feel like how much of a, I guess, the strength and conditioning point of view, how much has that helped you feel? How much do you feel like it's helped you in your development as a hockey player?
Yeah, I definitely think that the strength and conditioning is vital. It's limited injuries. I know that prior to coming into WAIS, I would just have little niggles every now and then. My hammy or my quad. And then once I joined WAIS, I think I honestly did not have an injury, a muscular injury, since starting proper gym. So yeah, it was very beneficial to me.
So you never, so no injuries at all in that time you're at WAIS. Touch wood.
Not not muscular. I had
No, you've
a random stress fracture in my hand,
Oh wow.
which I have no idea how I got that. I had tendonitis in my patella, which went away in like
Oh, yeah.
2 months. And I broke my finger from getting hit with a hockey ball.
Oh.
So they were really only my big injuries. And other than that, yeah, been
Did you
quite
get
good.
no like ball other than the ball in the finger? No stick to the hair. Like it always makes scares the shit out of me when watching hockey and how close those sticks fly, so close to each other's heads and
It's when you
balls
try
touching
and
sort of fingers as
avoid,
well.
yeah, it's when you try and avoid getting hit or anything like that. That's when you get injured. If you're just not even thinking about it and going a million miles an hour, and just, then you're actually in less danger than if you're kind of step back or anything like that.
And just for everyone who doesn't know, when you first got into WAIS, did they
Yeah.
kind of sit you down and did they say well, this is where we see you currently, and this is what we need you to work on to kind of get you into the next stage in development, like junior squad, development squad, and then again to the senior HockeyRoos, and just to kind of describe that process and the goals that they outlined for you, and how much you were involved in that process as well.
Yeah, so when I first got a scholarship, my coach sat me down and talked about the scholarship, but he also talked about where he sees me being able to get to. And that was, he believed that I had the capabilities to make the HockeyRoos team. And then we would always have like we called it an IAPP, which is just like your goals for the year and the areas that you need to develop, your strengths and your weaknesses, all of that. And then every year or every 6 months, you would sit down and you would reassess. And you might be like, yep, cool, I've ticked that. Or you might be like, well, I haven't actually improved on this, so let's go back and spend more time on that. And then how are we going to do that? We'll chuck an extra goal shooting individual session in, or we'll add an extra like change of direction speed in there, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was very personalized. Yeah, that's the one thing about WAIS is, although you're in a team of, there's 10 or 12 girls, it's individual. And you're not all going to make the HockeyRoos as a team. It's all about kind of getting a personalized gym or personalized skill set to ensure that, you're improving as well.
How did you kind of feel about that process? Do you look at those other girls and see them as they're going to take you're in line, or you're competing against the spot in the HockeyRoos against them? Or is it more, I guess, as a female kind of perspective, it's like you kind of, it's a community type thing, you will work together, you help each other out as best you can to get each other?
Yeah, I always saw us as like a team, and I don't think I would be in the position that I am if it wasn't for those girls. We were competitive, but we're helping each other out. There's girls there who were faster than me, so that challenged me to be faster. Or there's girls there that were better tacklers, or, stuff like that. So it's all what they were good at helped me improve my weaknesses. So I don't know. I just really enjoyed the WAIS environment, and they're definitely a huge part of my selection. That's how I feel.
So when you first rolled into WAIS, what was the thing that you needed to work on the most? What was the one thing that was letting you down? So in a hockey perspective.
Yeah, mine was my pressing, my second efforts, and my close in goal shooting. And they pretty much stayed throughout. They were always kind of my 3 weaknesses. And I might have, each year I just kind of got a little bit closer. But yeah, they were always kind of there. Whenever I would get feedback, they would be the ones. And sometimes my fitness was in there, sometimes it wasn't. Yeah.
Right. So just talk us through, like you said, it was a constant thing that was throughout the whole process. But in terms of like your training and you're doing individual stuff like that, how were they structured to make those better, like make those weaknesses better? What did you kind of do in training to make sure you're getting at least 1% better?
We would have like individual sessions, and that's where you could work on. They would bring down, like, for example, like Jamie Dwyer to work on close in skills. Or we're very lucky here in WA is that the ex-Australian hockey players tend to stay here because it is the best state in Australia, but they tend to stay here, so they would come down and help out from time to time. So yeah, we had the likes of Jamie Dwyer coming down, helping with little close in goal shooting, or Kobe McGurk worked with the defenders. But it was really, as time went on, it was quite athlete driven as well. So I would have to kind of pull my coach aside and be like, well, this is what I want to work on today, or this is what I think I need to get better at. And then they would incorporate that into the drills.
You spoke about, like your second efforts and your pressing. I can understand, by pressing's also like a bit technical too, because there's a right moment when to press and when not to press.
Yeah.
I guess, is there a lot of video footage as well that you work with your
Yeah.
coaches to kind of notify?
Yeah. It's hard to kind of practice pressing in a training environment, and it's boring. It's very boring. So for me, I found the best way was watching footage and seeing, what the Dutch were doing, or what the HockeyRoo girls were doing, or watching footage of me in a game and my coach identifying, this is what you did. This is actually what you need to do. And once they did that, it kind of just clicked, and it's like, oh, okay, I just need a smart run. And instead of doing this long arc to get there, I just go across. And just getting there, anticipating where the ball will go. That was the biggest one. So, I found footage the best for me.
And obviously getting exposed and like being in match situations and being able to practice that, and as well as looking back on the footage helps a lot too. But you have to be able to practice it a lot.
Yeah.
So that isn't something that will happen within a couple of months. It's going to happen a long time. There's always times
exactly.
where you make a mistake as well, and you have to then
the same
thing.
Even to this day, I'm going to make a mistake, but at least you can use that footage to kind of be like, oh, well, that's what I did. This is what I didn't do next time. Yeah.
Do you have someone, I guess, like an idol, or do you have someone who you look up to, or like do you have multiple different athletes who you look up to and say, oh, I want to pick that person's pressing and do that person's goal shooting? You know what I mean? Do you have like multiple different players who you look up to and say, this is what I want to pick out of each of their like best talents, and have all that myself?
Yeah. There's definitely there's always what's the word? I always look to the other girls to see how they, what might be my weakness, see how they do it, and I learn off of them. So definitely there's girls that I look up to.
Do you have someone who you love to watch? Is there someone that really stands out in your mind that's like, if they're playing in a Dutch side or something, I want to go and watch that game because I know what they're going to do is going to help me if I watch them and take 1% out of what they do?
Yeah, definitely. Even those couple girls in the HockeyRoos, like Mariah and Kirsch, they're just great to watch. Very good players. But girls I tend to look at, like, when I watch the Pro League games, Argentina and the Dutch, they're just kind of another level, and definitely aspire to be able to play like them.
Because hockey is really big over in Europe and a lot of other in different countries over in Europe, is there, I don't know, take what you got now is obviously really great, and you love everything that you've been doing, what you've done. Would you, I don't know, is there a time and a place, maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years time, hypothetically, if you want to go over to Europe and play somewhere, where would you like to go and play?
The Netherlands, for sure. Yeah, I would love to go over and play a club season once I've finished my job here with the HockeyRoos. I think it would just be very cool. Very, very cool. I love their way of play.
That's because they're like just known to have the best kind of talent, the best pool outside of Australia.
Yeah, and it would just be so cool to be based in the Netherlands and travel around. I just feel like it would be the whole experience. Yeah.
Netherlands would be nice. Is there anywhere? How about? Did you do any traveling where you were in those development squad groups for any of those other than China? Was there anywhere else?
No, it was really just China and then all around Australia. Yeah.
What was kind of the one that stood out the most? Was there one that you were like, that was a really good tournament, like I played really well, scored a couple of goals?
I think for me, it was the 2019 what's called a Hockey One competition.
Oh, yeah.
So just playing with WA, the Thundersticks, but
Yeah.
we did like a home and away series. So we did a week on, week off. So a week traveling away and then a week playing at home. But yeah, I just loved that lifestyle of you go away, you play one game, and then you come home and you do like prepare for the next game. I had a lot of fun that trip, and I think that was probably one of the best competitions that I've personally played. Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing they didn't play one 2020 and 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, it's been cancelled. Yeah, they hate to say it, but yeah, the past 2 years they've been cancelled.
It's disappointing because, Hockey One, you do have that, I guess because a lot of younger kids play, kids, the young junior players playing that or are squad members for those teams, and they might possibly get opportunities to feel like they're a part of, a team where you can go and almost effectively be a full-time athlete. You get to travel, you stay in hotels, you stay in a group, you get to play, you get to train, with like senior players who are in Australian squads. So it's kind of disappointing that hasn't happened for the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame.
3 years ago for you, you were a bit younger. Did you feel like it was one of those things that benefited you as a player, being amongst people who are better than you?
Yeah. Yeah. I just loved it. And it was just a lot of fun, just playing for your state. It was very fun. Yeah.
How'd you go that tournament? How many goals?
Oh, maybe 1 or 2.
But it's more, I guess, it's more about having fun playing.
Yeah, playing well, and might have not. Oh, yeah. We our last game was against Tasmania, and if we won, we would have gone second. We would have finished second, and then been in finals. But we lost to Tassie, and we ended up like fifth or sixth. Yeah, it was a bit disappointing.
So it must have been really close. If you could have finished second, then if you lost.
Yeah, it ended up being very close. Yeah. But yeah, we played really well except for that last game, unfortunately, and then we missed out on finals.
And then obviously the last kind of 2 to 3 years, it's been limited travel and all that. How much of a challenge has that been for yourself to be able to constantly keep improving as an athlete and pushing for selection?
Yeah. It's been challenging. Obviously, you kind of have this competition and you work towards, and then, oh no, borders closed, it's now cancelled. But it's been good for me because obviously COVID, it's a bit more than sport. And so I've had to kind of step back and live in the moment a little bit. And again, it's like living in that present. Like I don't know what's going to happen. No one does at during this time. So, I rock up to training and it's taking things day by day and just making the most out of that day. And I think that has actually been what has helped me the most, is kind of just taking everything day by day, being more present, instead of, kind of looking towards the future too much.
Right. So obviously there hasn't been many competitions where you've been able to play against.
That's been the only.
Lots of training. He's been doing
a lot of training.
And then club season, you've been doing all that.
Yeah, we've been able to have our full club season, which has been great. We're very lucky here, and it's a good competition. I absolutely love playing club. It's just fun to get out there. But we've also been able to have, a couple camps here or there, which, there's been a couple camps, whether it was like the super camp back in 2020, or we went to Tasmania in August last year. We just versed like Queensland and Tassie and SA were over there as well. So there have been little bits of competition, but the actual like Hockey One itself has been missing, and like state trips and stuff.
So talk about the your recent selection in the HockeyRoo squad. Was there?
Yeah.
Did you have to go? Was there a WA camp and then they selected like players off of that? Like, was it just selection based off of your form going in from the previous club season, or was it just a accumulation of the 4 years you're at WAIS and the improvement?
No, we did have a selection camp at the start in January. It was just a bit different to how it usually is. So usually they host a camp here in Perth because that's where the HockeyRoos are based.
Yep.
And everyone comes over here who's, been selected, whether it's the HockeyRoos or development, or if they've been selected from like Hockey One or just their previous form. But this year, because the borders were closed, we did like a WA based camp.
Yep.
But we still had some of the HockeyRoos didn't go home. The 2021 HockeyRoos didn't go home, so we had them at our camp. And then there was a Queensland camp and then a New South camp.
Yep.
So like SA went to, and then there was a Vic, so SA went to Vic, and ACT went to New South. So yeah, they just did the kind of 3 or 4 base camps. And they chose from that and your form there.
That was just a week of training, playing games against each other. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, ours was a week, and we had 2 training sessions and 3 games.
Oh, cool. When when it was done, were you like, oh, put on a good? Did you feel confident in yourself?
I felt like I had done everything to put myself in a really good position. I had worked really hard over the summer, and I prepared well for this camp. I just wanted to, for me, it was like a make or break this camp, and I just wanted to go out there and give it everything and just have fun and play to my strength. And if it worked and I made the HockeyRoos, amazing. And if it didn't, well, I could walk away and be like, I gave it everything that camp, and it's just on to the next thing. Yeah.
Was there other camps that you've been to previously in the last few years that you didn't get selected? Oh, obviously you didn't get selected in those ones, but did you feel like the accumulation of disappointment that you're like, this had to be, you put in everything this because you knew maybe wasn't going to happen after that?
Yeah, we had a selection camp for the 2021 squad in 2020, and my preparation just wasn't good, and I wasn't in a good like mental space either. So I walked away like knowing I wouldn't be selected, but also I never wanted to feel that feeling after a camp again. Never wanted to walk away and be like, well, I just wasted that opportunity, and I kind of crumbled under the pressure. So I worked really hard. Even throughout the year, I worked with Sykes, I worked with my coach. And yeah, I just never wanted to feel that way again. It's just a bit, yeah. So it was probably, it sucked at the time, but it was a great thing for me because it paid off this time and I was able to make those changes. Yeah.
When you talk about the pressure, was it because that you had the best were there and then everyone was just kind of looking at your performance, like you kind of ranking yourself against all these other really good HockeyRoos, and you were just kind of felt like you didn't meet that level?
Yeah, I definitely underperformed. I just couldn't stand up to the pressure, unfortunately, and that was due to my preparation. Like I didn't go in having a good preparation and a good mindset. So yeah.
And you said you worked with Sykes through the year. Was it more tactical based, like you would go in?
Yeah. It was more like tactical, like if I start, doubting my ability, then or having second guessing myself during the game, like what are some things I can implement? And for me, it was like, what are my strengths? So I would just tell myself my strengths, or I would get more in the present moment. So again, taking those big deep breaths, or just like gripping my stick tighter, just those sort of little things that I can implement to get out of my head when I play and get in the moment.
That's cool. So we spoke about your hockey skill, your mindset, your gym. How about nutrition? How much of that was like, how did it change over your time at WAIS and now towards the end and going into HockeyRoos? Is there much of a change? Have you changed much from then to now?
When I first joined the program, I obviously thought like, I can't have sweets and I can't eat carbs because they'll make me go fat, and I need a calorie count, and I need to do all of this and stuff like that. And over time, I've just learned everything in moderation. I still eat well, but I mean, I'll have chocolate or I'll have sweets once or twice a week, and I don't feel guilty. Whereas, so I just have a better relationship with food than when I first previously joined WAIS or joined these squads.
How about that's obviously like a big part of it as well, but how about the fueling your body for competition, like making sure you get your electrolytes on I'm big on electrolytes.
Yeah.
Either before, during, and then post too for recovery, and making sure you're fueled nutrition wise pre and post to make sure because obviously games, like these tournament games, you have to back up the next day. How have you've changed around that?
Yeah, so I kind of always will have, I'm not like set exactly like this is the time that I have to have it, but 2-3 hours before a game, I'll have a carby meal, whether it's like pasta or if it's toast or eggs on toast, anything like that. And then an hour before the game, I always eat the exact same things before I play a game. I have the exact same routine. I'm very superstitious, but an hour before game, I'll have ciabatta bread with hummus and avo and chicken salt on it with a double shot coffee, and that will always stay the same whether it's training or anything. I just always that's my pre-game pre-training pre-training meal. And then I'm very good with drinking during games. I always stay very hydrated. And then it's after, it's really important, so I'll have a bar or like an up and go or something like that.
When you were younger, how did you kind of tackle? Did you just not even? Was that something you've learned through your time at WAIS, or did you kind of have an inkling, or did you have a bit of a knowledge base before going into WAIS that you knew you had to kind of prepare?
No, it was probably no, it was probably more like with WAIS, we would do nutrition, like you would work with your nutritionist and they would run like workshops and stuff. And then it was kind of just trial and error, what works for you and what doesn't, is kind of how I got to where I am now with my eating.
How okay, I've got a question. Just ask this to everyone, and it kind of breaks people a little bit. So
oh God.
if you were to have dinner with any 4 people, dead or alive, who would you choose?
Oh no.
And why?
Who would I choose? Oh God, you really put me on the spot.
You can't just not pick anyone. You have to pick 4. You can't just be 3. I had someone last week say she only picked 3 and she couldn't decide the 4th. So I'm not going with that anymore. I'm not allowing that. You have to have 4.
You're not allowing it. Oh my God, I honestly have no idea. 4 people. Probably. Oh my God. I'm such a. Pardon? I
really put you on the spot here.
I hate being put on the spot. I honestly love the Veronicas, so there's 2.
Yes, that's awesome. Hey, they were recently doing a tour, aren't they? I think they were in Brisbane last time I saw.
Yeah, they're going around. God, I love them. Absolute nostalgia of my childhood.
So the Veronica, what were their names? The names?
Don't know. Huh?
What are their Veronica's names? What are their names? I can't remember.
Lisa and Jess.
Lisa and Jess. There you go. Lisa and Jess of the Veronicas. You got
Yeah.
2 more. I'll sing a few bars. Sing a few bars while you eat your dinner.
The what?
They can sing for you while you have your dinner.
Sing, yeah, exactly. And then, oh my God,
That's
sorry.
all right. But that much on the spot,
Wait.
your phone crashed.
I was not good on the spot. Even my phone could feel my freak out. Now I've got two others.
Right.
So the Veronicas, Granado from Argentina.
Hockey player.
And yes, hockey player. And Pat Cummins.
Oh, nice. Everyone loves Pat Cummins.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'm
I'm 50-50 on him still. I don't know.
Yeah, my boyfriend's cousin is Justin Langer. So ever since that, Pat Cummins is not in his good books.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit the same.
Controversial.
It's definitely a difficult situation for someone to be in, but I don't know. I don't know what I would do, so it's hard to kind of pass judgment on someone else. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Two sides to every story.
Yeah, that's right. So where would you go for dinner?
Anywhere.
You can pick anywhere you want.
Maybe somewhere like Portugal, Spain.
Some nice chorizo.
Just find somewhere on the street. Yeah, a bit of paella.
Do you have a favourite? Like, what's your favourite dish? Like, you didn't have to worry about playing hockey the next day or something. What would you love to just guilty pleasure?
I just love pizza. Yeah. I absolutely love pizza. Have you ever been to General Public Food Co. or General Public and Co. in Scarborough?
That sounds familiar. Possibly. I've been to.
Anyway, it's in Scarborough on Doric Street, and they just have the best pizza ever. Little shout out. Their pumpkin pizza and their garlic prawn pizza. Get it every time. Yeah.
There's one down the road here at Freo.
They're probably my favourite.
It's on George Street. It's called Eugene's. That's like my go-to pizzas here. They do the best. Like a salami with some like brown onions, a little bit of olives. Not too bad.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Shanea, we're getting to the point of the podcast where Uncle Frank, who's my number one listener, gave me a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah.
And they're in a hat. Usually I'll get the person to pick a question out of the hat, but I'll pick one for you and I'll ask it, all right? You ready?
Yeah.
Ready, Uncle Frank?
Okay.
Right, I've got one. Now, these are folded, so I can't see what they are before I pick them. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
For what in your life do you feel most grateful?
There's a lot of things. And do I have to pick one?
Well, you can just say anything. You don't have to pick one. It says, for what in life do you feel most grateful?
I feel very grateful to, even during this pandemic and the changes it's made. Like, I feel very grateful to have been in WA with the beautiful beaches and been able to travel throughout WA, and to be able to have still worked full time during the pandemic as a registered nurse, and play the sport that I love. I just feel grateful that how my life has been since COVID and all the uncertainty during it.
Of course. And how, I guess also be able to manage working as a nurse, like you said you are, how difficult has it been to kind of stay on top of your training and be able to work like the best you can? Because obviously there's a whole bunch of things you have to do as a nurse. You have to wear your PPE and it'll be all uncomfortable. And how hard has it been to stay on top of everything to still be performing the best you can? So mentally, I can imagine that's be stressful and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, like I said before, work had been really, just really good with my training, and they knew where I wanted to go. So we self-roster at my work. Oh. So as long as, you have a certain number of registered nurses, and experience, all of that, you pretty much, as long as it all lines up, you pretty much get the shifts that you ask for. So that's been really handy because I can just, trainings in the morning, I'll work in the afternoon. So that's kind of how I've been able to do them both, is through that. It's been, great.
Are you a train in the morning type of person, or you train at night? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I'm definitely train in the morning. I love training in the morning, except Monday mornings. That's when I'm an Arvo.
Really?
Yeah. Love a Monday Arvo training. Yeah, but every other training needs to be in the morning.
Why
just
Monday
get it over and done with.
Because you just want to have a chill night Sunday and go to bed late?
Because you just, you still want to enjoy your weekend. And Monday morning, I found it's like it's Sunday morning, and I'm still like, oh, I've got to wake up early tomorrow. So just having it that bit later, it's just nice. Yeah.
I guess before we finish off, do you have any, have you kind of set goals in terms of how you're going to approach the next kind of phase now of your life, I guess, like being in the HockeyRoos, the training system? How do you see things progressing, and how do you kind of plan your life out towards that now?
Yeah. I think for me, I just want to get the absolute most out of the program, and I want to become the best athlete that I can be, the best teammate that I can be. So it's really just, getting my prep right for training or for the games, and being able to rock up and give it everything when I'm out on the pitch. And there's just, I write down my little goals for the year, but I also like writing little weekly goals just so I can tick it off and, stay motivated. Just kind of, keeps me working towards something.
Do you have, a piece of advice for anyone who would have been in your position, I guess, getting into WAIS at whatever age you were, and what would you say to that person?
I think the biggest one for me is to never, what's the word? Oh, I've just gone blank. To never compare your journey with anyone else's journey, and to always, as long as you have that goal in mind and you're working towards that goal, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if someone made the squad at 18 and you're 25, it doesn't matter as long as you just keep working towards it. And that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would say.
It's true, because progress is never linear, right? So it's always different paths, and as long as you kind of work towards the goal, no matter how fast you get there or how much, you let downs, and as long as you keep making a consistent effort to keep pushing forward, it's probably the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Now, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And, you're a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to work with. You for the year and a half, I guess I work with you. You can never tell you're having a bad day, because you always have that smile on your face, and you're always a good time. And I guess we always got caught up talking too much with each other. So glad we got this done, and all the best for your future. So,
no worries.
Again,
thank you.
On TV,
thanks for having me.
Balls into the back of the net.
Hopefully, that'd be great.
Thanks, mate.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the podcast.
Thanks.